Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a look at r/Am I the Devil? These ones are always super interesting because the whole premise is basically it's stuff usually taken from Am I the Butthole, but it can be taken from other subreddits around Reddit where someone is basically asking for advice as if they're the wronged party, but usually they are the gigantic turd. So, if you want to have a gander at that with me today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Okay then, so this first post was reposted by Mean League 384, and they say, was not banging married people an option? So it was originally posted in r/relationship advice. I'm F29, pregnant, and my partner's M33, ex, hates me. Can someone give me advice? About 2 to 3 years ago, I, F29, started a relationship with a married man. And you are confused on why she hates you? Why? M33. I know I shouldn't have, but I couldn't help who I fell in love with. I mean, whether you fell in love with him or not, he had a wife, so you should have stayed away and, respected that relationship. To cut a long story short, his wife found out. There was a huge fuss. Oh no, really? She attacked me and ended up asking him for a divorce. I am so shocked. Oh my goodness, who could have ever saw that coming? Eventually, me and him reconciled and decided to give a relationship a try. Ah yes, what great footing for a new relationship. Lovely. I admitted I wasn't thinking of how it would affect his wife. Yes, I was selfish and I've beaten myself up more than anyone else can. So please, spare me your judgment. I'm not asking for that. No, I just need some advice, and there's nothing you can say that I've not already told myself 1,000,000 times. Let me tell it you again, you're a twat. Unfortunately, since finding out my partner's ex-wife has done everything possible to ruin my life, and due to her, my close family members have come to find out things about my life that I would have liked to have kept personal, which has caused me to lose close family and friends. The issue is this: I am pregnant and I'm against having an abortion for personal reasons, so I will be keeping this baby. However, I have no family support or even support from friends, and my partner is going through a divorce while I'm desperately trying to keep my new home location a secret for obvious reasons, which is very stressful at a time where I don't need any extra stress. Now, I just feel sorry for the baby, not gonna lie, honestly, I really do, because this person clearly has no actual morals or any want to take any real responsibility. I think where they're like, oh, I've said all this stuff to myself 1,000,000 times and blah blah blah. I'm sorry, I don't believe it at all. I've read posts like that before where they all say the same, and then there'll be another post a few weeks later where they literally contradict everything they've said. Do you know what I mean? To add to this, my partner is no longer staying at his home and may lose it, which is extremely disappointing, as he told me this wouldn't happen. Did he? And you believed him? Oh my goodness, you are made for each other. And I had planned that in the distant future, when things blow over, we might live there together. That is their marital home. You have no claim to that. Oh my goodness. I know this situation is incredibly messy, but I also know it won't be forever, and for now I desperately need some advice, preferably from someone who's been through a pregnancy with limited family and friends support. I don't think that that's the main issue here, mate. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think the main issue here is that your moral compass is skewed and yet you're still acting the victim, and you literally had plans to oust the wife whose man you were shagging out of her home and move in. Like, what? I'm also not 100% sure how much support I'll get from my partner. He doesn't seem all too excited about the pregnancy, to be honest, but I think his mind has been elsewhere, and I can't blame him because he didn't want you. You were just an exciting side piece, and now reality is hit, and he's going, ah, like, this is the thing, these types of blokes that stray away from their wives or women that stray away from their husbands, half the time they have no actual plan to leave that partner. If they did, they would break up with them before beginning a relationship with somebody else. Has anyone been in a situation like mine and has any advice for me? Does anyone have any advice to make me feel better about continuing a pregnancy with little to no support whilst dealing with someone who actively hates you? Why does she hate you? I cannot get over the fact she's acting for like the victim because the wife hates her. I wonder why. I don't think my partner's ex knows about the pregnancy, but if she does find out and tries to start trouble, does anyone have any legal advice maybe for what I can do in that event? Like, obviously, if the ex wife starts being like violent against a pregnant woman, call the police. Like, that's what you do in that instance. But if she's just basically gobbing off and, like, having a rant, I feel she has a bit of a right to do that, to be honest. And then, so then down in the comment, Diet Smoke says, I'm pro-choice, but not these choices. And then On Your Bike 1522 says, I usually think the idea of being pro-abortion is anti-choice dramatics, but in this case, the only thing stupider than everything she has done thus far is to bring a child into the mix. Yeah, I mean, I don't think, a child into this is a good idea, personally, and I don't feel one iota sorry for the OP. I just feel sorry for the poor kid that's going to get dragged into a situation where the bloke clearly doesn't want anything of it. The whole way the child was conceived is just icky because it was during an affair. I feel so sorry for that kid. And also to have a mum that doesn't know how to take, accountability and not at the victim when they're the person who is dead in the wrong. It's going to be an interesting life for that poor child. So next post reshared by writer Beck. Hint, he was absolutely weaponizing it. So this one was originally posted in r/true off my chest. What it's really like to be accused of weaponized incompetence. Oh, go on, tell us a story. This post may sound like a lot of marriage stories, and I'm sure I'll get comments about emotional labour and walk-away wife syndrome. What the bloody hell is walk-away wife syndrome when it's at home? But I was the husband in a marriage, divorced now, and I'd like to present an alternate perspective, if it helps. My ex was also very interested in making things fair. She always had a list of reasons why she did more and why her situation was more difficult than mine. Our conversations reminded me of what is said so often on this website. My husband helps with the kids when he gets home, but I generally feel like most of the labour, mental and physical, falls on my shoulders. I feel like people don't respect enough, the person in a family that ends up taking on the mental load most, because that is exhausting. As a single parent who does pretty much all of the stuff for the kids, when they see their dads, it's a fun time only. I can tell you that just the whole dealing with the schools, dealing with the emotional breakdowns, the friendship fallouts, the this, the that, the third, all the emotional stuff, the worrying about things, the worrying about helping them with homework and making sure they get things in on time. Like, that mental load is an awful lot. And don't get me wrong, I do it gladly, but I think people do not have enough respect for the mental side of keeping a family together, and it irks me a lot. My ex felt the same way, but here's the thing about feelings. They depend on the person who is having them. She felt like she did more, but I also felt like I did more. Our workload was different, sure, but I still think I did more around the house than she did. 3 years divorced now, I still think I did more in the marriage than she did, but she'd never, in a million years, see it that way. Okay then, let's have a list of the stuff you did then, shall we? It became a question of value of tasks. I handled long-term financial planning, investing, insurance, things she didn't really notice or care about, things that you also fill a form out probably like once a year and then be done with, but okay. Home maintenance, lawn care, car maintenance, tech-like modems and routers, configuring parental controls on devices. I did a lot. Okay, fair enough, obviously doing things around the house, but those are all things that you can do where you don't have a screaming child up your backside for the whole time. So, okay, go on. I did a lot. She just cared that the thing was working and wanted me to continue doing all my stuff and half of hers. Okay, so home maintenance, how much friggin' home maintenance are you realistically having to do every single week? Lawn care, okay, fair enough, once a week. Car maintenance, how often are you having to do that? Are you having to do car maintenance weekly? If you are, maybe time for a new car. Maybe time to just start looking at how you drive the bloody thing. Tech-like modems, again, one of those things that you do as a one-off every few months. It's not like you're having to configure them constantly. Configuring parental controls on devices. How often are you getting new devices? Probably not very often. You do it once and then it's done. So, I mean, they made a list of stuff to try and make it sound like they're doing a lot around the house, but a lot of these things are things that you deal with like a couple times a year and then they're done with. So realistically, the only real thing I can see here that would be a weekly occurrence is the financial planning, because yeah, of course, making sure you're keeping on top of your finances is important, and the lawn care. But anything else, that doesn't sound like a weekly or daily occurrence to me. And again, I'm the only adult in this house, so I do all these things. So I know how long they take. Well, I don't do the garden, I pay someone to do that. And I don't drive, so I don't have to do that. But all the techie stuff is on me, the financial planning is on me. So I know how all this stuff works. And a lot of those things you do like once or twice a year. I tried taking over laundry duties too, but apparently I could never do it right. Could never do it right or didn't want to do it right. I didn't separate things correctly, fold them the right way, put them in the right drawers. She accused me of weaponized incompetence. Looking back, I see how easily something like that can be thrown around. She had picked it up from the internet and completely ran with it, sure. And because her feelings were so big, that was enough for her to declare what I was intending. Mate, I'm not being funny, but she went to the extremes of getting a divorce, which is not an easy process, I am led to believe. I would probably say she wasn't overreacting. She'd get upset if I told her she was incorrect in presuming something like that. I really was just trying my best. Also, why is this being posted in r/relationship advice when they've already been divorced for 3 years? Is this just an ego thing? The OP wanting to stroke their ego and make themselves sound like they were doing like so much? I think having a couples therapy can make a big difference for couples who actually can step out of their own perspectives and hear the other, even if it means not immediately jumping to weaponized incompetence. Also, didn't see the OP mention anywhere anything they did with the kids or general cleaning other than fucking up the laundry. Because from where I was, our therapist told her that she seems to be stuck in our own perspectives and to imagine what it can look like from the other side. And I might be an unreliable narrator here, but I can say with certainty that I attempted to self-correct this about myself way before we started seeing our counsellor. However, there was no sign I saw from her behaviour and words that she was willing to see things differently too. which is when I decided to separate. My wife said she didn't feel like it was fair to her in this situation to follow this advice, but obviously that didn't solve anything. Eventually, I just said, if I'm doing this chore, I'm doing it my way. She said, if that's how it's gonna go, I'll just keep doing the laundry. I said, okay. Mate, that is weaponized incompetence. I didn't do weaponized incompetence. Literally describes weaponized incompetence. I mean, I get, like, obviously doing it your own way, but if you're then going and putting the Grundies in the bloody trousers drawer and, like, the kids' socks in, like, one of your wife's drawers, then, yeah, if you're mixing everything up and just chucking stuff in the drawers and folding them proper shit and leaving it at that, like, that's doing a crap job. So you should probably let somebody who knows what they're doing say, hey, this is the way you do it. Just helping you out here so it's done properly. And listen, I don't understand. It was hard to admit that I had come to deeply resent my wife. It's hard to put in your best effort over years and have your partner only tell you how you're not doing enough. I could only hear that so many times before I totally gave up, which I definitely did. Now, this is not me saying weaponized incompetence isn't real. It can exist. I'm not even sure what the solution is. What I do know is that this is something that needs to be evaluated objectively, certainly not decided by the one person who feels that way. Maybe this is exactly the kind of things couples therapy can help sort out. Honestly, now that we don't live in the same house, things feel easier. I bet it does for her. I feel like I can breathe. Of course, we share 50-50 custody of our child together, but I live comfortably. I've lived alone before and I definitely know how to handle chores, cook, clean, and parent. At the end, I think it was just different approaches to things, rather than just me being actually incompetent. LOL. We're just not compatible. Oh my goodness, that was one big long post of just coping, I believe. Because I don't understand. Why was it in relationship advice? You're broken up, the relationship is done, mate. Just move the f on. So, down in the comments, Friendly Goblin Girl says, the comments aren't going at all like OOP thought they would, I bet. Specific Volume 118 then says he's fighting for his life, trying to retcon in the comments. May he continue to lose. And then the Unholy Hot Dog says, Annie sounds like a massive asshole doing it. So, of course, we have to have a little look at the comments on the original post, don't we? So on the original post, AmITheDevil says, so everything worked out in the end and you are fine? Then I am perplexed at why you are posting here about a non-problem. Or are you still coping? Seething? Exactly. It sounds like you feel it was unfair that she left when you were doing everything right. And then the OP says, no. It all worked out in the end because I left. Sure you did, pal. I believe you. Many wouldn't. AmITheDevil then says, so what's the true off your chest part? Sounds like everyone is better off. Oh, so this was posted in True Off Your Chest as well? Okay. And then Army Walrus says, if this was true, you would not have posted this at all. Exactly. He would have just moved on. He would have been like, I'm glad I'm out of that relationship. She never appreciated anything I did. I am so happy to be done with it. Move on, move forward. This really does read like someone who is furious that things didn't go their way, and they do not cope well with being told that they're the problem. So, Rhapsody in Blue then said, accused of weaponized incompetence? This post proves that you are. I'm so glad she divorced you and she's free of you. And then the OP replied, actually, I filed for divorce and she didn't want it. I don't believe you for a second. Okay, then the next post, reposted by Wolf Chasing the Moon, says, girlfriend was the affair partner, by the way. This one was originally posted in r/AmITheBorthole. Am I the Borthole for inviting my dad's girlfriend to my wedding, even though my mum says she won't come? My mum won't come to my wedding because I invited my dad's girlfriend. Gathered that from the title. Yes, thank you, thank you. My fiance and I, M26, F25, are getting married in August. My parents separated when I was 10 because my dad cheated on my mum with a woman named Maud, who he is still with 16 years later. They separated and my dad moved out but would still co-parent and spend most weekends and nights at my house with my mum. They got along pretty alright. Okay, bit of a weird setup, but okay. However, the only rule my mum had was that for my brother and I's whole childhood, we were never to meet Maud. It wasn't until I was 20 that I actually met her for the first time when she moved in with my dad over the pandemic. My mum moved out after I graduated high school. Over that time, we got to know her more. It was enjoyable spending time with her. She never overstepped, but she was also never a mother figure to me. Now comes the wedding. My fiance and I discussed it and we felt it was right to invite Maud. We got to know her better over the last 6 years and she's going to be in my life forever. She's been nothing but nice to me and obviously means a lot to my dad. It was important to me that she was to start being included in life events like this. My only concern was telling my mum about this. We'd never talked about it, and when we did in the past, I'd resorted to telling her that I don't like Maud, and I did once say that I wouldn't invite her to my wedding. I said these things because I felt like they were what she wanted to hear, and now I regret it because it's not how I truly felt. So, I told my mum that I had invited Maud to the wedding, and she simply said, "Okay, then I'm not going to come." I was obviously stunned. I knew she wasn't going to take it well, but I thought she'd be mad and get over it since it's my wedding. However, over the 3-hour-long argument we had following, she didn't budge once. She said she just can't physically bring herself to be in the same room as her. I asked her if she'd considered working on that, maybe going to therapy, sitting with the idea for a while. She said no, that none of that would change how she feels. I told her that she was selfish and hated Maud more than she loved me. She said I was selfish because I invited Maud knowing that it meant she couldn't come. She felt betrayed. Here I thought all these years she'd been working through these feelings, but I think she was just shoving them deep down, never wanting to address them. So she was blindsided and I don't think is really ready or interested at all in changing how she's coping with this. So I feel like I'm left with having to uninvite Maud if I want my mum at my wedding, which I guess I will do if I have to. But I need to know, am I the butthole for inviting Maud in the first place? I actually think this is a bit of a tricky one. But I do think that the OP has ultimately fucked up here, and I will explain why, which is why I didn't stop reading the whole way through that one, really, because I wanted to make sure I had all of the information before I finally came to my decision on what I thought. So, it's been 16 years. Would I, if it was one of my kids getting married, their dad cheated on me, we'd broke up, it had been that many years, it had really hurt me, really messed me up, and I really didn't want anything to do with her. But I understand it's been a long time. I understand that my kid had been spending time with their dad and ultimately then spending time with her and having to build a bit of a relationship with her. Would I refuse to go? Probably not. But the OP literally told their mum they weren't going to bring her. They obviously knew their mum hadn't healed, because why would they feel the need to lie about having anything to do with Maud in the first place, and lying to them, telling her that they don't like Maud, saying Maud wouldn't be invited to their wedding. So I think it's the double whammy of betrayal. So it's the original betrayal from the wife's ex-husband, from the mum's ex-husband, from the dad. The leftover betrayal from that, which I bet the mum has got over to a good degree at this point, just doesn't want anything to do with them or Maud, because she sees Maud as the person who split up the marriage, and fair enough, because they were married, or at least together. I'm assuming they were together, married. I can't remember now. I can't remember whether I read that right or not. But for the OP to then, with someone she is very sensitive about, to be lying to her face about it, and then turn around and be like, oh yeah, actually we're like Bezzy mates and she's coming to my wedding. Well, not Bezzy mates, of course, I exaggerated that a little bit, but that's how it would feel to her. And it'd feel like an ultimate betrayal, really, because it's already someone she's very sensitive about. So, would I as a mum refuse to go to my kid's wedding? No. Do I understand why the mum is super upset and feels betrayed? Yes. Do I think the mum in the end of it would actually refuse to come to the wedding? Probably not. She probably would go. But I understand where she's coming from, and I do think the OP has up in that way. But as obviously a child of divorce myself, where my mum hated my stepmom for years, and my dad and my stepmom did not get together until after my mum and my dad had been like proper broken up for a good while. Being a child of divorce, I understand that despite the feelings of your parent towards the other parent's new partner, there will come a time when you kind of do integrate with the new partner, unless you really hate them yourself too. And I do think that that is okay and it is natural to do, even if there was a bit of a betrayal there, because that's your parent. And if you're really close with your parent, then unfortunately, sometimes you just kind of have to accept that there might be someone you have to deal with that you don't like. So I understand that can be a tricky situation for an adult child in that, but again, I do think that the OP fucked up by being a little liar. That's where they messed up, especially over such a sensitive topic. So, down in the comments, Crazy Kirby Kun says, I'm hoping this is a rage bait going by the fresh profile and no comments because it seems to be working well. The real devils are in the comments, honestly. Just expecting OOP's mum in the situation to continue to swallow her pride and roll over again and again after straight up lied to. It really goes to show that the common reaction of many people is to expect the person wrong to be the bigger person and suck it up, where the people that hurt others and cause all the pain and drama get a, well, they're a bad person, but it's so long ago reaction. And then the person that reshared this says there is also a concerning amount of people who are ready to apologise cheating with entire, it was so long ago, so she should have gotten over it stick. Yeah, exactly. And I know, obviously, I said that I believe that with it being so long ago, if it was me, I would have probably worked on my feelings about it and moved on. But I still wouldn't choose to be in a room with that person. And the only time I would is if it was my kid's wedding. If that was the only way it was gonna be, I would go. I'm not gonna lie. But like I say, I 100% understand the mum's feelings on this and the feeling of betrayal. And I do think it's just really shitty that the OP lied. That's where I think the OP went wrong. And yeah, the people in the comments saying that she should just suck it up and get over it because it was so long ago. No, and if she doesn't want anything to do with that woman, she doesn't have to have anything to do with that woman. Like, no, she shouldn't have to just suck it up and deal with it. And everyone goes about things a lot differently at the end of the day. Okay, so I think that's where we're gonna leave it for the day. I think I have rambled long enough. So, if you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, that'll be your initiation into the Coven of Void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye.